On today's episode, we talk about Matt getting called out by another big jiu-jitsu creator.
We talk about fraudulent jiu-jitsu grapplers and how they're weenie-ass rolling styles.
We talk a little bit about the growth of jiu-jitsu and how it's tied into the UFC.
Watch out! Glock Dookie!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the pod. My name is Kenny. I'm here with Matt. Thanksgiving is over. We are approaching Christmas. It's December, the final month of 2024. Spotify Wrapped came out. Saw some cool numbers. I would say as we're wrapping up this year, it's been a blast. Matt and I've had some phenomenal opportunities. Made some great connections with people in the jiu-jitsu space. Really built a strong friendship with one another. Our families have gotten closer. All in all, for this being the first full year of the podcast, I can't have imagined a better starting off point for us.
When we were a lot of people's number one.
Yeah, a lot.
Which was pretty cool. Just to be in like the Rogans and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and us above Rogan.
Right. So what he's talking about
cool.
is on Spotify Wrapped, it'll give you, now it breaks apart the music and the podcasts that you listen to, and it will tell us like, these are the top 5 podcasts you listen to. We're a lot of people's number ones over like other larger podcasts. And then on the artist side, it gave a breakdown of these are the top 5 podcasts that your listeners listen to aside from yours. So it let you know like what your, not even necessarily competition was, but just like what your like what your listener base is also interested in. And it happens to be the same stuff that I listen to a lot of. Theo Vaughn podcast, Matt and Shane's Secret pod, which is Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker. Rogan, obviously. BJJ Mental Models was in there. So yeah, a lot of neat stuff. Just to know that we're kind of like, that's the wavelength that we're tapping into.
And you know what's cool, Kenny? A lot of people I feel like we've kind of paved the way a little bit for a lot of people in the jiu-jitsu space to start their own podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of like this, wow, these guys are like, they did it. Like, I feel like there's like a lot of, you know what I mean? And to me, I think that's pretty cool too. Yeah, man, get out there. You know, like.
I think it's an exciting time for jiu-jitsu right now. We've talked about this. We're on the cusp of there being some sort of an explosion. And I think that by Dana White signing Mikey Musumeci, I think there's going to be some things happening in the next year that maybe the jiu-jitsu community isn't expecting. But it's because it's kind of something that we touched on a few episodes ago about how overall the jiu-jitsu community, in my opinion, does really poor job of like marketing these events. And I really think that UFC jumping into the game by putting an athlete like Mikey Musumeci on contract,
snitch,
they're going to they're gonna make a commitment to the sport. And I think that, I don't know if the Fight Pass Invitational is just going to grow, if they're going to do something more with it. Dana White had mentioned in a previous interview that he was going to be creating some sort of a grappling reality show. I don't know if it's going to be the Ultimate Fighter adjacent, but for grappling. But something's coming. And if the UFC is putting entertainment dollars behind jiu-jitsu, behind submission grappling, that's only good for our sport. So what I was telling a few other podcasts that had reached out to us, some guys that are a little newer in the space, is like, hey man, if this is like a passion of yours, if this is a labor of love, like, don't lose heart, stick with it. I think something big is coming, and that is going to usher in a large opening for all of us to kind of take our place.
And in this jiu-jitsu space, don't be afraid. If you want to do the interview style, which is not really our thing,
right,
but if you want to do the interview style podcast where you want guests, like, don't be afraid to reach out, even if those are the guys you feel like are ungettable. In the jiu-jitsu space, everybody's cool as shit. And they're probably going to say yes. So if you're looking for interviews, that's one thing about jiu-jitsu. It's like, they'll probably going to say, they'll probably come on. They don't care if you got 4 followers.
Right. Aside from like maybe a Gordon Ryan, a Craig Jones, and a Nicky Rod, you can get most of the people in the space, it feels like.
You just got to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. Just don't be afraid. What's the worst they're going to say is no. You know,
these guys want to be celebrities. They want to be professional athletes. They are, but they want to be like known professional athletes.
Right.
So like being asked to be on a podcast is cool.
You could be their Ariel Hawani moment. You're going to be the thing that they're going to, if it's a good interview, they're going to share that with their friends and family. They're going to show that to people down the road from now. You know what I mean? Like you're going to make a memory for them. And they'll be eternally grateful for that. So just
they're hard. A lot of these guys don't have a personality, which we've talked because they're introverted jiu-jitsu guys, and they don't know how to create content, or they're like embarrassed to like put themselves out there.
You're going to have to lead the conversation
style,
for sure.
What's that?
You're going to have to lead the conversation for sure.
But like this interview will give them free content because they're just answering questions, and they'll be able to chop it up and share it. So you're helping them out because they're probably sitting there like, oh, I got to think of a move of the day or something to like, to give my followers. You're giving them stuff that they could just put on there for them. And that's helping them out. And it's because a lot of guys who don't post a lot and have a big following could be sitting there like, I got to put something on my Instagram soon. I don't know what to do. Like, you know what I mean? And so by asking them to be on your show, you're giving them that. You're giving them cuts of them talking, you know what I mean? And hopefully someone like that can chop it up and make something funny out of it or whatever. So yeah, it's just ask.
Some of the YouTube channels that I watch, not in regards to the jiu-jitsu space, but just other things, other entertainment stuff. Some of the stuff that I like is when you get, there will be somebody that you're interested in, a musician or something like that. And they have this like dynamic personality. And when they're in interviews, they're really exciting and like outspoken and whatnot. But then you'll find a video of like one of their first 5 interviews and they haven't developed that personality yet. It might be a character that they've created. And all of a sudden you get this like peek at like, you know, OG, you know, whatever artist it is. And like it's the real them because they haven't like developed this thing yet, and you're just like, wow, like that's
Kenny,
Steve.
If you go onto my OS Nation, YouTube, and you go down to the very first video I ever did, I was talking about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant because it was a sports thing,
right?
Dude, it is so fucking bad. It's so like, I did 89 takes for a 30-second fucking thing. Like I did not know how to talk. I was nervous. I was sweating in my Camry when I was recording it. I didn't know, like it's so cringe. It's like, I'm just like, oh, dude, it's bad. Cause I haven't found my voice. I didn't know how to turn the volume up on myself. I wasn't moving my head when I talk a lot.
And that's
reps.
Know what I mean? Like that's reps. You know what I mean? That's something that you get better with jiu-jitsu. It's with anything. If you do the work and you put the reps in, you're gonna get better. Our first pod, like our first probably 25 pods, I was stuttering a lot just because I'm trying to figure out how to have a thought, say it to where it makes sense outside of my head, to where you understand it or a listener would understand it, and I'm like stuttering and stammering because I'm like trying to figure out what it is that I want to say, but the words aren't coming out fast enough. And
you
now
found your voice for sure.
Oh yeah. I learned to kind of slow down, process a little bit, and not speak so fast and just kind of like, I don't know, it just flows better just because
I remember I've had multiple people say, oh man, the other guy doesn't really say much. You kind of talk most of the time. He doesn't really, you know what I mean? I remember when it first 15, like you said, episodes, like, oh, he kind of just sets you up. And I'm like, he just needs to find his voice. It'll happen. And sure shit. Now you just freaking run with it.
Right.
Like that's why I'm hopeful that, you know, this year we do get that where we can add like a little thing on the channel where you can talk about other specific things like a blue belt mindset stuff, or like, you know, I know you're into firearms and stuff like that, other stuff that we could add that to the channel just for the YouTube, that you could just go off and do it on your own. You know what I mean? It's just more content because you've kind of found yourself in the space, you know, but it takes time.
It does. It does. It's not something, and that's the thing, is that I don't think people realize that when we started the pod, you had already been doing the Oast Nation thing for a while. If you didn't find us through the Oast Nation page and you found us organically through YouTube or through Spotify or, you know, random clips, you know, on the internet and whatnot, Matt had already a long established like following with the Oast Nation account where he's doing a lot of talking head stuff to the camera. He's not just the meme guy. He is the meme guy, but he made a decision a while ago that I don't just want to be a faceless page that's just memes. I want to be the face behind the page so people know who Oast Nation is. And I think that's smart for a couple of reasons. One, it's good to help build your brand because it's you. But two, people can't fake an Oast Nation meme. You know what I mean? Because there is a face behind it. So they can't put, you know, take credit for something that's not theirs because they know the guy that's behind it. And I mean, you can find him. So I think that was a smart play.
But I'm excited to be back, Kenny. We've been a week off is like, I know it was kind of good to be like recharge, but I had last weekend, Kenny, I had to itch.
Yeah.
I had to itch. I was just like, oh man, maybe if I text them, I could be like, hey, do you have time? We get a 20-minute or like, I was like, you know what I mean? Like I was really had to itch and I didn't do it, but you know,
I just had family here, bro.
I'm a hoe to content. You know what I mean? So
yeah, mine was just, I had so much family here that, it was hard to, well, one, my parents are staying in my guest room, which is the room that I'm in right now. So it's like I didn't have access to the computer, to the camera, all that stuff, the lights. And two, just I was trying to, I don't see my parents often. They live in a different state. So I was trying to get some quality time in with them and with my kid and things like that while they were in town. So, but I feel
it was good. It was a good reset for all of us, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's nice.
We learned some stuff.
When there's a break like that, you charge your batteries, but you also, it's nice to kind of build up. I mean, not a lot is happening in jiu-jitsu the week of Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? As far as like events, content to talk about. But it did give us an opportunity to kind of just like stack up ideas. Like I've got so many things that we can talk about here that we're not going to fit this all in one episode. So we've already got part of episode 65 here. You know what I mean? Right. So that's the cool part is that
we did learn some stuff on our time off. We learned you can't trust that fart at 43, can you, Kenny?
No, you can't.
No, you can't. Kenny hits me in the DM. I know we did episodes for like, when's the last time you shit your pants? Well, guess what? Kenny reset that fucking timer over the fucking holiday. Can you tell us embellish a little bit what happened, Kenny?
Jesus Christ.
The bungholes ain't as tight as they used to be at 43.
I had eaten some Mexican food and I'm sitting in my car on my lunch break and I thought I was just going to let out a fart and it was a little more than that. And we're not clipping this. This is, if you listen to the pod, you get this. This isn't going on the Instagram.
Premium content coming your way.
And I thought it was just a fart, and so I've sat in my car for another few minutes or whatever, and I stood up to walk into the office, and I'm like, oh, that feels a little wet, and I clinched, and I waddled to the bathroom, and I checked, and it wasn't just a fart. I didn't touch cotton. I didn't have to take my underwear off or anything like that. So we're good. It was safe.
Just stay cheeks, huh?
Yeah,
cheeked up.
Yeah, but it was
on a Saturday, on a Thursday afternoon.
It was rough.
I was listening to Your Mom's House podcast, and this guy was on there talking about a Glock dookie. You know what a Glock dookie is?
No.
So you would be so dangerous in prison with this new scout shitting your pants thing, Kenny. So a Glock dookie, okay. So they used to fight in prisons now. That's the big thing. Oh, whites versus the Mexicans versus the black guys. Big fights. There's no such thing as that. They don't do that no more. They have Glock dookies now. They take a water bottle, they piss in it, they shit in it, they ejaculate in it, and they just store it. And then when they want to battle somebody, they just blast people in the face with their Glock dookies.
Oh no.
That's the new weapon in the pen. And
it's not it's gone to fucking what do they call it? Chemical warfare.
Oh my God. Could you imagine being Glock Dookie just in your face? Just
Oh my God.
squeeze it.
I would want to kill myself. I would want to take my own life. There's no recovering from getting someone else's shit and piss in your face.
Some guys is driving to work right now, and I'm sorry, Jeff. Some guys is driving to work right now with this breakfast burrito listening to us right now and being like, bruh, what the
just
Glock
ruin someone's
Dookies.
breakfast. The first
Glock
5
Dookies. Glock Dookies are just taking over. And that's what I want in the comments this week. I want hashtag Glock Dookie in the comments. Just to say that you support the podcast. I want everybody to comment Glock Dookie.
Hey,
and don't forget the screen grab that you're listening so we can share that too. That'd be great.
Oh, you're back.
But yeah, that was cool. I got challenged, Kenny. I got challenged. I'm not going to say by who, but let's just say I got challenged by a very, very known person in the space. Okay. I got challenged. I don't know why. But Kenny thinks he knows why. But I got challenged that, like, he said he's got a student that's 140 pounds and he wants to put him up against me to show me that, because I put out that clip that, like, it was jiu-jitsu school, then big guys learn jiu-jitsu, and he wants to put him up against me to see how it would go. Maybe I beat him, maybe I don't. And I'm like, well, man, whatever, man. You don't have to ask me twice. I'll roll with anybody. I don't care. But, I got to heal these injuries. And then I'm down. But, like, yeah. And then I look up the guy. The guy's like 180 cc. He's like a really good guy. And to that, I'm like, okay, like, fine. Still, I'm down 100%. I do have 100 pounds on the guy. But also, this guy's like world-class adult vision.
Right.
What it seems to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, like, you're picking the 140 pound guy, like, and then against me. Like,
well, that's the thing. So we talk about how things can be.
A broken clock is right twice a day. You know what I mean? Like, You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean the broken clock is working.
So we talk about how things can be an equalizer. Jiu-jitsu can be an equalizer. Size and weight can be an equalizer. Age can be an equalizer. So, this guy, in reality, you have the advantage of size and weight, but he has the advantage of probably athleticism because he's younger. Youth. And according to the person who challenged you, technique as well.
Probably very technical guy.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
So, and that's the thing is, I think most people with, how do I say this? I've thought about this, not this topic, but what I'm about to say. I've thought about this actually a lot in the last 2 weeks. One thing about Matt that I think a lot of people don't understand is Matt, though he comes off as a confident and maybe sometimes cocky guy, Matt is not egotistical, if that makes sense. So Matt is very confident, especially in his jiu-jitsu, but Matt doesn't have the ego that I think people may assume that you have. So if Matt loses this match, I don't think it's really going to bother you. You're not going to lose sleep. You want to win, obviously.
Right.
But, it's so I don't think we're like, like they talk about, like, well, if John Jones doesn't want to fight Aspinall because if he loses to Aspinall, like, he's got everything to lose. But if he beats Aspinall, he really has nothing to gain. I think from the outside, maybe the person who challenged you thinks that you're going to have that mindset. Like, if Matt loses, he's got everything to lose because he's going to lose his reputation. But I don't think it's going to really matter. And if you win, you really have nothing to gain. And I don't think that you view it as that. To you, you're just viewing it as like, well, it's going to be a jiu-jitsu match. I love jiu-jitsu. I'll roll with anybody, and it's content. So,
yeah. Look at I think a lot of people don't believe that I deserve to be in the position that I'm in this space, and because I haven't really had an excessive amount of competition because I've been injury riddled. Which now you're starting to experience that firsthand with me, how bad I get hurt all the time.
Oh yeah.
So like,
when I met Matt, he had one bad knee, like needs knee replacement bad. And then he had another knee that had knee surgery, but that was his good knee. Now Matt has a bad knee, his good knee needs surgery again. And he has a torn bicep muscle from the shoulder, not from the elbow.
Right.
So Matt has one good limb.
Yeah, I'm fucked up.
And it's his left hand.
But a lot of people don't think I deserve to be here, and like I would love to compete more. And I would love to have the health. And early in my career, finances was an issue for me because I was helping support my family. So like it wasn't really in the cards for me. I would love to have this, you know, and maybe later in my career I will master style, right? But I would love to have this cool, you know, competition. Yeah. What am I looking for? I'm looking like a competition like background, but I don't. And so I think a lot of these big guys are like, dude, why is this guy like rubbing shoulders with us? He hasn't done it. Like this guy's just here, like because, and one, it's because you guys helped put me there,
right? Which
I'm grateful for. And then two, because I do know what I'm talking about. I am a legit black belt under a legit banner and a legit lineage. And I don't think like, and I'm not going anywhere. And I don't think I need to prove anything to anybody. Look at Joe Rogan is huge in the fight space. He has one Taekwondo clip on YouTube.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you got like, to me, I feel like some of these guys are like, man, I want to shut this guy up. He's a fraud, which I'm not. And I believe if I roll anybody in the world, they would be like, oh yeah, like maybe they beat me, but they would walk away and they'd be like, yeah, he's legit though. Like that was legit. Like I have no qualms in my game that someone wouldn't say that I'm not legit. Mm-hmm. So when I get healthy, I will, I told the guy, I said, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. And he's like, cool, heal up. And then,
let's be real too. It's not like celebrity getting a black belt. You were a black belt before you had any sort of like internet personality. You know what I mean? So you already did the work before you started the journey. Yeah. So I think that's a moot point. But people don't know your story, so they don't, you know, especially, I mean, your story's out there. They could go find it and educate themselves. But if they just make assumptions.
So I was thinking of this. So my cousin, who's a listener, Nick, shout out. My cousin Nick brought up this topic.
Diamond Valley?
No.
Okay.
My cousin Nick brought this up and he was like, what if you beat a guy in super fights and you get to take their belt? It's like collecting scalps. And I'm like, hey, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool to do. You know what I mean? Like, so then I could like tally up who you've beat in your gym. Like, could you imagine? Like, I would never, but I have a Gordon Ryan belt. What happened is like I stepped him. I beat him. I collected his belt. So like you collecting but then they have to sign it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like you just kind of collect, like collecting the necks and having trophies, like kind of like old Apache days. You know what I mean? Where you're collecting scalps. I think that's a freaking pretty cool idea.
I think that's pretty savage.
That's pretty cool, dude. Like, dude, what are all these belts? Those are all the guys I've beat in comp. Yeah. Like, I think it's cool. Like, I don't know. I think that should be a thing. I think that'd be something that would people would love. It's like almost like racing for pinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like, and it's that same vibe.
And that's the thing too, is I think it should be your like practice worn belt. Like you're worn in belt. Not like, oh, it's a fresh blue or a fresh black belt for this comp. You know what I mean? No, I don't.
No, I got the one.
Yeah. I want the one that doesn't have the fucking folds in it anymore.
Yeah. The one that's like almost white now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like give it to me. It's mine. I earned it.
Yeah. And then
I think that
if you lose it, you go buy a new black belt.
This is the one that your professor tied around you, huh?
Yeah.
This is that one? Yeah. Yeah. The one that, your professor tied around you when you got your black belt. Yeah. I want it. It's mine. I think that would be sick.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of dope.
And you just get your new belt and you rebar yourself. That's fine. But like for that moment, I think it would be pretty cool. It's like playing marbles when we were a kid.
Or Pogs.
It's like Marble Month all over again. No rainbows. Craig Jones.
I got some topics here. I got the fake rolls. Guys who let you pass because they know they're trash. So you're rolling, you know, they play open guard and they try to defend it for a little bit. And eventually they just kind of like turn over instead of like letting you, instead of them getting past and like they let you pass them.
Yeah. It's the worst. I've seen it. we've seen it. I've seen it many times. It's like the guy comes in and he thinks like it's like if I went up to somebody and was like, "Hey, you want to roll?" And then I was just like, I know that like I don't want to show this guy that I'm not as good as I am. So I'm gonna sit on my butt and then I'm gonna fucking half invert onto my shoulder and like let him get the side control. And like I'm trying to work defense from bad position. Like you just give up that position right away.
Right.
To me, that's like the biggest.
Unless you're
stuff.
like a black belt going against like a a blue belt, a purple belt, a white belt. You know what I mean? We're just like, I'm gonna let him get my
but eventually that black belt's gonna win that round.
Right.
Like these the guys who are whack are the guys who come up and they just like, hey, you want to roll? And then they freaking kind of just like literally give you side control or literally give you their back and like they're just playing around like they keeping it all happy and fun and like but they never planned on winning that round. They did already lost walking up to you asking you if you want to roll. Like that soft ass. It's not even flow rolling. That's like imposter rolling.
Like I want to get this out of the way so I don't.
Yeah.
If I ask him and I appear that I'm just being playful or whatnot, then it doesn't look as bad in their head as if he asks me to roll.
As long as I don't sub, as long as I don't get subbed, he can dominate me all he wants. But like I kind of did a half-ass inversion to give him side control. Like I kind of let him like push me down and like put one leg up and he kind of just fell onto me. Like that's whack, bro. That's worse than coaching somebody through the round.
Yeah,
that's worse than being like I'm getting smoked and then all of a sudden like, hey, you know what you should do? Put your hand here now. That shit's whack too. That everybody's had that happen to me. You know how many times I had that happen to me at a blue belt and a white belt? Oh my God. I'd just be like, I passed this little guy's guard because I'm bigger than him. And I stacked past him and I went to side control. Now I made him lick his knee and now I'm in side control. Now I jumped up knee on belly. I'm going for my baseball bat choke. And then he kind of turns away because I'm kind of spazzy, but I'm still shoulder pressure. And all of a sudden he just goes, hey, your hands should be right here. Put your hands right here. And then now switch your hips this way. See, look it. Now you have, fuck you, bro.
All of a sudden they turn into Henner.
All right, Kenny, you got any questions?
Yeah, we got a few. Let's see what we got here. This is from Davis_MD. What mind shift helped you progress in BJJ at any level? He's a purple belt.
Well, I mean, for me, once I realized that like, you're always going to be better tomorrow. That helped me progress. Like not quitting on a bad day. There's going to be tough days. There's going to be days where you feel like, oh man, I'm just the nail. I'm the nail. I'm the nail. I'm the nail. I'm the nail again. I'm the nail in sideways. But the days that you're like, someday if something unlocks, you'll be playing your game. And one day you're like, dude, that freaking worked. Oh my gosh, I finally hit that move. I hit that move I've been trying to do. Or, wow, that's what he meant. Those are the days I live for. And as you get higher in your game and higher belt wise, those days are far and few in between because you're not like exploring the scissor. Oh, wow, the scissor sweep's the coolest thing ever. Like once you start learning this little details, intricacies, like that's what you live for. Like waiting for the next level up, which comes harder as you're in your purple belt. It's like harder to level up. So yeah, I feel like that is what helps my game improve. I get excited for that.
I feel like maybe at each belt you're going to have one. I know that what I felt at white belt was once I understood basic control, and you always hear people regurgitate the phrase position over submission. And it doesn't, you hear it, but it doesn't really resonate until it does. And once that clicked and I realized that I don't need to rush through things and that I can just take my time. And if I'm in a good position, even if I'm in a bad position, if I'm not being submitted and I've got time to think, can I get a frame in here? Things like that. That once I learned to do that and not just constantly worry about like, I've got to move, I've got to scramble. like breaking that scramble mindset at all times, then things started to make a little more sense in jiu-jitsu. It gave me time to think about the actual technique itself, because not everything is muscle memory when you're a white belt,
Definitely not. Definitely not. It's that old like tie your shoes analogy, or, talking,
right.
putting sentences together.
Exactly. It is like speaking a language. That's why there's always the comparison of jiu-jitsu to language, or jiu-jitsu to chess, because it is not just a physical sport. It's very much a thinking man's game. And when you are a white belt, if you compare it to languages, like you just know a couple of words and you can't string a sentence together, and you definitely can't understand it when someone's speaking it fluently to you, and as you progress through the belts, I'm a midway.
Unless you're Dean Lister, do it. You can do it, Kenny. Yeah. Come on.
Then it all just makes sense.
Now it's different. Unless you're Dean Lister, but you're gonna. Hey, I didn't know I sounded like that.
Yeah,
you do, Dean. You do.
At blue belt, I think what I'm kind of coming to the conclusion with, and maybe it's just it's my age coupled with my size. Like, I'm not the biggest guy, but I'm not a little guy. And in my head, like I was, like when I graduated high school, I was 143 pounds. I was still the same height, Now I'm
a little spinner,
70 pounds more. You know what I mean?
Kenny the top, dude.
Right. Well, I went to basic training. When I left basic training, I'd put on 40 pounds. I left at 183.
Throw that ass in a circle.
So now that I'm like, I
was literally 140 pounds in 8th grade.
Jesus Christ, man. Now that I realize, like, okay, I'm 215. I've been this weight, I've been between 210 and 218 for like the last 2 years. So like, this is just my size now, and I've always kind of had that more like lighter athletic build. I don't have that athleticism anymore. I'm 41 years old. I might have some explosive power here and there, but it's not an endless gas tank like I used to have. So I've started to like, okay, well, what are my current strengths? What are my current attributes? And it's like my size, my weight, my ability. Like I've always heard here and there people would make comments about my pressure. It's like, well, let's really develop the thing that I have. This is kind of like in relation to that clip that you had posted that got you the call out. It's just like, well, I'm not going to ever be the super technical guy. I don't have the time or the energy to commit to like sitting in the gym and drilling for 6 to 8 hours a day to become that technically proficient. I just don't. I've got a career. I've got a family. I've got a podcast. I've got other shit that I have to do, other obligations, other hobbies, other things that I enjoy. So I've got to make the best with what I've got in the time that I have while still trying to advance to the next level. And I think that that's what maybe a lot of people at the lower belts don't understand, is there's a lot of different paths to the next belt. So mine isn't going to be the competitive, ultra technical, 140 pound, guy that specializes in this particular guard. Mine's going to be more similar to the mat style of being heavy, getting top pressure, being dominant, and waiting for my openings and my opportunities to come. And when I find those, then jump on those and attack those. So that's something that I've been trying to develop lately. And I think that's what's going to get me to the next belt level, is just kind of like honing in the things that I'm already kind of good at, and really like becoming technically proficient at the things that I'm already good at, and then starting to expand onto the next guard that ties into what I already know really well.
And that's what makes jiu-jitsu great. What makes jiu-jitsu great is my game is not your game, and your game is not my game. And every game, there's a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why jiu-jitsu helps in real life, because you could be in the outs. You could be financially in ruin. You could be, your life is in shambles. But jiu-jitsu has taught us that when you're in an effed position, there is a counter. You just got to find it. It might be bleak, but maybe if you could just frame a little bit in life, or you can frame a little bit here, you'll be able to find your way out.
Next question here we got is, Let's see. Here we go. This is from Nikki Chicken. What's the hardest position to defend against a much smaller opponent? Asking for the elves.
Listen up, you little elf. What I don't like what little guys do is the pace. Little guys can put a pace, especially in no-gi.
Mm-hmm.
They can really, really put a pace on you. So if I'm a little guy and I'm trying to beat a big guy, how do you beat me? How do you beat a big guy? By putting a pace on me. You're not going to choke me out. Neck stuff doesn't really work on a guy who doesn't really have a freaking neck to squeeze.
Right.
But attacking limbs, arms, feet, in and out, in and out. Don't engage right away. Don't just be a bug in a light and let me grab you. In, out, fake shoot, stunt, whatever you have to do. Make me bend. Like, make me like, oh, he's going to shoot. He's not. He is. He's not. He's not. He won't let me grab him. He's circling away. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Just like boxing. If I'm a right-handed grappler, that means I probably want to pull with my right side, whether it's an arm drag or a lapel drag or, a trip. I want to trip with my right foot. So we're going to circle to the right, circle away from my power hand. Just like in striking, if you circle away from the power side of the guy, make them have to pull with their left, a funky side, right? So it's just like in jiu-jitsu. Pick your sides in and out. Don't engage right away. And then get the big guy tired. Once the big guy's like, dude, this guy, and you see him stand straight up because you kept making him bend over so much and his belly's all big and it's all freaking, oh man, now my back's tired. Then start putting yourself in. If you're in a 6-minute round, I would not engage him until at least the 4-minute mark. I'd be faking in, out, fake, then go. Like, don't just go. You have to fake before you go. That's how you beat. I don't know if there's a set position that I hate. But I guess maybe half guard. But I come from a school with legendary half guard. So half guard has been always like, because the guy's like keeps like, he gets the half guard and he keeps like trying to dig. And after a while, I'm like, dude, just take it, dude. You have it, dude. How many times are you going to dig? Dude? I'm tired now. But like half guard was, I guess, kind of trouble for me back in the day a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Like, big guys get tired, so a lot. So when the big guy gets tired and you're in your guard, even if you can't close your toes, they're going to put their head down, right? So once they put their head down, loop chokes on big guys is a real problem. If you can hit a loop choke, because they always rest in their head low. So elbows in, head up, bigs. These little guys are coming for your neck.
Last question we got here is from Walker 122. Something valuable you've learned in jiu-jitsu that you can forward on to us non-jiu-jitsu guys.
I think I just kind of talked about it a little bit. Jiu-jitsu transcends into life. It's helped me realize that when things are like really, really bleak and I don't feel like there's a way out, I can find a way out. You know what I mean? And it's kind of given me the mindset of, I'm him. Like I can do anything because there's no one can stop me because of what I put in the training room, what people have seen me go through, the injuries I've recovered from, the bounce back, the comeback. There's always a comeback in jiu-jitsu, right? Whether it's like, I'm coming back from an injury. I'm coming back from a bad relationship. I'm coming back. Everybody in jiu-jitsu has a comeback story, whatever it may be. And the comeback is what creates a hero. So if like it's like your origin story, jiu-jitsu kind of like sparks it for you, whatever it may be. Like, I'm coming back from being fat. I'm coming back from, my girl cheated on me. I'm coming back from a divorce, or I'm coming back from, a tragedy, an injury. Like, jiu-jitsu is like kind of helps like spark that. Like, it helps you like just something about breaking a sweat and getting after it. Like, it just helps with life. And it's hard to say. Like, I know people use religion, which I have been known to do. I know people use therapy. All that is great. But there's just especially for men, there's just something about just saying, you know what? I'm here for battle, and it's primal, and it's just like, I needed that. Like, you had a tough day at work. Boom, I'm scrapping. I'm forehead to forehead. I just cross-faced. I'm after it. Like, I'm invincible. Like, you feel invincible. And I think like prepare nothing. You're like, oh, my boss is a douche. Like, That's fine. I just rolled like 7 rounds this morning. Like, I'm not that mad. I got all that out. A lot of people just walk around with this pit of anger inside them. And, you know, jiu-jitsu it'll pop that pit like, and you don't have it. It's just, you can live free through the day because you know you've went after it.
I would say that even in my worst day of jiu-jitsu is still better than my worst day of anything else. You know what I mean? Like the days that I just get absolutely smashed, I get submitted multiple times. I can't seem to get around to go my way. Even those days are still better than like a shitty day without jiu-jitsu.
Even in the darkest day, your fires burn always. What song is that? Is that Kill Switch and Cage?
Jesus Christ.
No, yeah, I agree. I feel like, and I was talking about this earlier. I was talking about this earlier with some of the guys. Some guys at work will be like, they don't like other guys at work. Like, oh, fuck that guy up. Just dudes. I work labor. You know what I mean? He's a douchebag. I'll smash him. And I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, dude, you are 47 years old. I was like, you may have boxed in the Navy when you were little, when you were 20.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, you are an old car, my brother, and you've been sitting in the garage for 25 years and you ain't started that car.
Yeah.
You haven't started that car in years and you're just going to cold start it and go fight this 20-year-old over there. Good luck, dude. Yeah. Good luck. You're going to blow your arm out. Like the false confidence of testosterone can be a real, imposter on how good of a fighter you are.
I think jiu-jitsu, when people always talk about how jiu-jitsu kind of like will battle your ego and can kind of check your ego for you, is especially when you're new to the sport, regardless of how big you are, what attitude you come in with, when there's an experienced person that's smaller than you and understands the technique better and whatnot. And then you realize that there's some, 15-year-old, 170-pound kid that's choking your 240 ass out because you didn't realize that it doesn't matter how strong you are, that you have no gas tank. You think you do, but you've never really challenged yourself. Especially guys, there's a lot of guys that I know that have never been into any sort of altercation. They just assume because they have muscles and they've hit a punching bag a few times pretty hard, or they get drunk and they hit the one at the fucking bar and they're like, oh, it hit
700
all
pounds.
nines. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, but that doesn't mean shit in reality. You know what I mean?
Jiu-jitsu doesn't make you a winner in fight either.
Right.
Let's get that out of the way. There's guys asking me at work, like, you think you could beat him up? I get that all the time. You think you could beat him up? You think you could beat him up? And my answer is, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Everybody can win a fight. Anybody can. I don't know what hit training he has. I don't know. Lucky punch can go for anybody. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you this, if fighting was the SATs, I've been studying for that test for 15 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like if I was a betting man, I would assume that I would be able to defend myself enough to get to it. I know I can fight longer than 7 minutes.
Right.
Can you fight longer than 7 minutes? Like,
and I don't think people realize
what I mean?
how long that is until you try it.
Right. And then that's different from standing. So say you're throwing punches, that's a different. And I'm getting even more tired. You know what I mean? Like, but like if I know an entanglement on the ground, I could probably, I did it. I did it for my 40th birthday. I fought for 21 minutes, 21 minutes straight. Mm-hmm. So like, I know I've studied for the test. So to me, like anybody out there trying to cold start their engine just off of like what you used to be, that's a dangerous game, dude.
I think based off of Mike's question, I know Mike, that's why I'm calling him that. He's stating like, what lessons have we learned in jiu-jitsu that he, someone who doesn't train, can apply, not necessarily like to go train jiu-jitsu, but I would say it's when I show up to jiu-jitsu multiple times a week, I'm testing myself. And it's not an assumption. What can I do? What can't I do? I'm putting it on the line.
How old is Mike?
My same age.
Okay.
So if you
doesn't do any sports?
No. But if you don't, he works out. But if you don't test yourself in a combat situation or just in anything, you know what I mean? Like, don't assume that you can do something if you don't do it. That's I think a mistake that a lot of people make is people just assume that like, and I'm a do-it-yourself guy when it comes to shit. I'll fix my own car. I've built my own motorcycles. I do a lot of my own gunsmithing. Like, you know, when it comes to home construction, remodeling, stuff like that, I do a lot of that stuff myself. I'm a firm believer in I can do anything if I try hard enough, you know what I mean? And I dig into it. You know, am I going to be the best and the most proficient? Am I more proficient at retiling a floor than a contractor who just does flooring all the time? Hell no. But can I do it over time and still make it look good and presentable and save myself a lot of money? Absolutely. But when it comes to fighting, if you've never tested yourself or you don't continually test yourself, especially as we get older, maybe you used to fight a lot in your 20s. You're out at the bars all the time. You fuck people up. But you haven't been in the bars in 20 years and you don't get into those fights anymore. Like, you just assume that based off of your experience 20 years ago that you were the man, but you just assume I'm still the man now. You know what I mean? I could fuck somebody up when I was 25. I can do it at 42. Maybe. You know? Maybe.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So
if I'm Mike, what I say to guys that hit 40, I know a lot of guys who are our age and they just think they're old. And they're like, they talk about high school football and they talk about yesterday. And they're talking about what was. And then they just live for their kids' sports and they live for their kids' athletics. They live for like, they're living through others at this point because I feel like that's what the modern day dad should do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's what the modern day dad should do. I think, yes, you should be a good husband. You should be a good dad. You should live through your kids. You should like do all that stuff. But I also feel like you should also be living for yourself. You should be getting your own gold medals because as you're doing that and as you're saying, I still am, I'm only 43 years old. That's not old.
Right.
I have 40 something more years to go. I'm in my prime. Like, we're just getting started here. We're finally just kind of got where our money and our bodies are kind of hopefully lining up.
Right.
We're like, right here is the perfect form. This is time for us to lead from the front. I want my kids to see me getting after it. I want them to see me. Oh, dad's going to jiu-jitsu. Oh, my dad's at jiu-jitsu. Oh, my dad's going to train. Oh, my dad's going to lift. Because you know what that tells them? That tells them like when they're our age and when they're in their 30s and their 20s and they have kids of their own, they're going to be like, my dad is still training. He still gets after it. Like, because you're setting an example that it's not over. You don't just stop and go to the donut shop and live through your kids. You got to lead. And leading is by example. Be an alpha male and be a hero for your kids. There's more than just being a supportive, loving father and like, go get him, champ. I am the champ. Come catch me if you can. I am him, son.
How many times have you heard stories of dudes our age telling their kids tales about when they were younger and the cool stuff they used to do, and then their kids like, oh, let me see, and then they go out there and they injure themselves because
I'm gonna tell you about a tale I'm
anymore.
gonna do next weekend, motherfucker. Watch daddy spike this dude.
Yes, yeah.
Like, look at I am your hero. Catch me if you can. But it ain't going to be fucking easy because I'm going to set this bar so high that you're like, dude, if I could just be, you want your kids when you die to be like, if I was half the man my dad was, I had lived a great life. That's what you want your kids to say when you're at your funeral. I think that's the phrase every dad wants their kid to say. And how do you do that? You cannot get them to say that if you stop being that mother at 30. You're not dead.
Right.
So that's why we train. That's why we get after it. That's why I go one-on-one. That's why we lift. That's why we work hard. That's why we try to stack bands of cash. We are leaders. Don't give up at 30. Don't just be a spectator. You can still get after it. You want your kid to be like, that's my dad. Look at him. He's still out there. You don't want him to be like, my dad used to play football in high school. No, my dad's going to fight somebody next weekend. And that's just how I live. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, I like to make an example until you can teach, doesn't matter what. Like, I have one arm. Dad's still out there training. He didn't quit. He's still going. I'm teaching. So that's what jiu-jitsu, that you could, someone who doesn't train, that's why we do it. That I do it because, and that could be anything. Whatever, you want to lift weights. Dad still lifts. He's 75 years old. He's still picking it up and setting it down. Like, you're still getting after it because you're teaching. People, especially if you have little eyeballs watching you. You have little eyeballs watching you. Everything you do is teaching them. Your daughter, Kenny, sees her mom wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, 30 degrees in the garage, and her mom's out there running on the treadmill. You know what I mean? She's going to know that her whole life. And one day she's going to be 27 years old and be tired and being like, maybe she had a kid and she'll be like, I don't want to work out no more. And she's going to be like, well, my mom would be out there. My mom's up right now. She'll be like, she'll just get on her phone and be like, there's Wendy. She posted a selfie in the garage and she's like, I better get out there and run. My mom already worked out. Like, cause she's leading from the, you know what I mean? That's what we should do as parents. We should keep on moving.
That's it for questions, brother.
You think what I'm thinking?
Aim for the bushes, my man.
Aim for the bushes, guys. It's been great. I'm glad to be back because, a week off felt like an eternity. Follow me at Nation BJJ. Follow Kenny at Freak Party BJJ. Follow us on the BJJ Balance Discord. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok. I'll post. He won't. Facebook, all that good stuff. We're everywhere. We owe, I'm not going to say it today. And I appreciate everybody and all the support. The Spotify Wrapped was a gift for us, and we appreciate all you guys. Remember, Glock, what I say, what is it? Glock, what is it? Glock Dookie in the comments. Let us know that you love this episode. We're back. We'll be back next week. We got more stuff. If we didn't get to your question this week, we're sorry. We will get to it next week. But again, appreciate you all. Have a good week, and smash somebody. Neon this week, guys. Neon belly. Okay. Neon belly. Hand behind the collar. Hand in the little prom night hole. Pull up and just leave it there. And let's pressure taps. That's what I want from you guys today. Pressure tap the fucking world. I'll catch you guys next time. Oh,